Pourquoi Saint Jean est-il le disciple que Jésus aimait?
Why is Saint John the disciple whom Jesus loved? This expression is constantly used in the Gospel according to Saint John. Just read the last chapter. John never names himself. He only says, I am a witness, I was a witness, and he calls this witness the disciple whom Jesus loved. In fact, we get the explanation in the tradition. First of all, St. John was young, which means that he entered into adolescence as a disciple and apostle of Jesus. So much so that his intelligence was native. He listened, he was fed, he was formed by the word of Jesus. When you join older as a mature man, well, you can resist more. And here the good master was teaching who the Father was. And John is clearly the one who went to the furthest in the knowledge of Jesus. We see it in his gospel, which is the deepest, the most mystical. He is the only one to insist on the divinity of Christ, with another who did not know Jesus and who learned during a glorious appearance. It is St. Paul. St. Paul, who was converted on the way to Damascus and who saw the glory of Christ, words he says which he cannot repeat. Second, St. John has a delicate art. It means an art capable of understanding things from the heart. The other apostles, as we can see, are much more factual, objective. They act. Saint Peter picks up the sword, and those who write the synoptic gospels, Mark, Luke, and Matthew, some of whom were not disciples, factually relate the events that happened. Saint John, he wants to know the intention of Christ, and so all his life he will meditate on it. The Gospel of Saint John, which he wrote towards the end of his life, probably around the year 90 after Christ, clearly shows this, and what he became as an adult is a fruit of what he was as a teenager. We can also see at the cross the incredible confidence that Jesus places in St. John. As I said, St. John is a teenager. This is probably the reason why he can be present at the cross. He doesn't have a beard like adults have, so he doesn't risk his life. The Romans are not going to bother with him. To whom does Jesus entrust the treasure, namely his mother Mary? To St. John. If it were to entrust her for the purpose of material survival, it would be absurd. St. John cannot work. He has constantly followed Jesus for years, so he does not have a profession in hand. Well, if he entrusts his mother to St. John, which proves that beyond this materiality, it is a spiritual communion that he wants to establish. One can even say, I think, that the Gospel according to St. John is the Gospel according to Mary. It is the frequentation of Mary and her teaching that deeply shaped in a way that is both masculine by Jesus and feminine by Mary, this look of interiority that we see in the Gospel according to St. John. All these reasons made that people gave to St. John the Evangelist the symbol, the emblem of an eagle. And the eagle because it is the bird that sees the farthest. An eagle can spot a mouse 3 kilometers away, even if it barely moves. While St. John, from this contemplative gaze that Christ and the Virgin Mary gave him, that he received in its fullness, or at least much more than others, well, he is the one who best understands the mystery of the incarnate Word, and who expresses it from the start of his gospel. In the beginning was the Word. It is therefore in the light of the first verse, in the beginning was the Word, that he enables us to understand all that the man Jesus lived, him who is the Word made flesh.
Dès le départ de son évangile, au commencement était le Verbe. C'est donc à l'image, à la lumière de ce premier verset, au commencement était le Verbe, qu'il permet de comprendre tout ce qu'a vécu l'homme, Jésus, qu'est le Verbe fait chair.